Hello, hello, my beautiful people. Are you out there? Can you see me? Can you hear me? It is Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We are here for another episode of Sick, Saved, and Undefeated. You may be sick, but you saved. Therefore, you know you are undefeated. Nothing should be able to get you down. Nothing can get you down as long as you don't allow it. Now, do we go through some things? Oh my God, do we go through some things? But that is not the focal point. The focal point is getting through those things. So once we get through those things, or no, let's sit it this way. I was told you're either going into a storm, you're going through a storm, or you're coming out of the storm. Now, that's a little hard to live the way life is a little sometimes, especially with everything happening in the world. But I guarantee you, there's a purpose and a plan for all that it is that you go through if we open our eyes to it. Sometimes it's hard and it's a little blurry when we're going through, but I guarantee you it is a purpose in all of it. So, purpose in your pain and your diagnosis is not your identity. So, on today, you beautiful people, I just want to bring up our wonderful guest, D. I messed it up. I can't believe I messed it up. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Because I mess her name up all the time. My love, my beautiful woman. She is a powerhouse. She is an author, a speaker, an encourager, a coach. She is a celebrity makeup artist. She works on movie sets. I mean, she has an enormous amount of things that she's done with her life and what she's gone through that's impacted her, but she's still been able to be what God has for her to be. Now, she may not have started out that way like most of us in this world, but I guarantee you on the other side, it looks a lot brighter. So let's bring her up and we're going to have this beautiful lady introduce herself. Hey, how are you? Please forgive me. I know I messed up your name and I so tried not to do it. But
It
you
is,
know, we was talking about it before. I'm so sorry.
it is well, it be like that. But no, I am Deria Stukes. I am Deria Stukes. But usually when we do that, it's because we're thinking on it too hard. We're thinking on it like trying not to mess up, and we end up messing up. But it's room for errors.
I was through from Eric. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the grace that you just gave me. I love it. Thank you very much. So I thank you for being on. Let me put it that tell you that because I know you have a busy schedule, full time with family, work. You have your own business, girl. You living it up. You know, like Superwoman over there. But as long as God got you, girl, you got them wings and that cape. You all right.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is I want you to tell the people if you've actually had something diagnosed or you're taking care of someone who's been diagnosed.
Okay. So I am taking care of someone who has been diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
Hmm.
So and that person is someone that you're supporting. Do they live with you?
Yes, it's my mom. Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you got that diagnosis, how did that hit you as an individual?
It felt like a ton of bricks just fell on me because I felt like I was blindsided by it when I found out. It had so many emotions attached to it because it was like wait a minute. It was like wait a minute. When it happened, it was just it was just emotions everywhere. I had emotions everywhere. Yep, I was
Mm.
feeling sad. I was feeling depressed. Like, what do I do now? Like, how, this is my mom. I don't want my mom to die. Like, all those thoughts begin to overwhelm me.
So how was it? How did God play a part in this? Did you even think about God when you what was the initial? Because I know a lot of us even forget to be like, oh my God, let me turn to God. Sometimes, it's that initial shock where everything kind of leaves your brain. Did that happen to you?
So, yeah, so if I can rewind and go back 2 years ago, um, in my prayer time, where God had me praying against cancer. And
Oh,
this was 2 years ago before I even knew, you know, that that was it. That was her, the outcome, because I didn't know who I was covering in prayer when, God placed it on my heart to begin to pray, about that. So I began to pray and, do as God led me to do concerning that, the spirit of cancer. And then,
What actually placed you in a position that you had no idea? This is the importance of why we should listen. And even though it may not make sense, you feel like it's nobody around you. You feel like it's just something you throw to the wayside. This is why we need to listen and move, regardless if it makes sense or not, because you have no idea who God is telling you to actually pray for. So God put that on your heart, and you had no idea who it was. But then it moved on and you found out your mother had cancer. So did you put two and two together at that moment, or did you separate and be like, oh, that's what God had me praying for? Or did you, I mean, what exactly did you do when you found out? Because I know you said you felt detached. So at that particular moment, had already stopped praying, or what happened?
You know what? I did, because it was like a season that I was praying against it. And then when I found out, at that moment, it didn't dawn on me like, oh, so that's why, God had me praying, for it, because my mind was everywhere else. It wasn't on the prayer that I was praying. It was on like, dang, it's my mom. It's real life. Like, this is really happening. And then God had to remind me, well, this is why I had you praying.
Now, how long did that take? I mean, because the initial shock for some people she can take months because it's a shock. So how long did it take for you?
Well, it took it when I found out the news, and then God came back, brought it up back before me. It wasn't even a week. It wasn't even a week, because I immediately, if I can share this, when the doctors came in, and this is, I found out when I was on set. I found out I was working. Real life stuff. I was working. I was on a movie set doing makeup, and my mom, she called my sister from the hospital, said, "Oh, they said I have two masks. One of them is 12.3 centimeters, and the other is, a different, size." And I was like, okay. So immediately I began to pray, like, Lord, what's going on. Let everything be well. So when I got back home, my mom was able to come with me. Now, the last time I saw my mom, it was a few months ago, and she looked at normal. Everything looked at normal, and when she came back, it was like I knew it was my mom, but she had lost so much weight,
Mm,
and I was like, "What's going on,
yeah.
Mom? What's really going on?" So we got her some, doctor's appointments and everything, and her doctor came. It was time for her appointment. Her doctor came and said, "Yes, you have cancer." And when the doctor came in and did that at the hospital, because I had took her back to the hospital, and I began to pray. I called one of my sisters in Christ, and I called her. I said, "Hey, can you come up here with me and, stand in agreement with me?" And it was me, my mom, her, and God, and in that place. And when I tell you that I went in, like I went in, I spoke the word of God, and I spoke over her. I spoke healing over her. I mean, to the point where the nurses came rushing in. They didn't know what was going on.
Mm.
That's how intense the prayer was. And
Oh,
so, to fast forward it up, we now is registering. Okay, she has this disease. Lord,
mm,
this is me coming before the Lord. Lord, help me cope with this. Show
yeah.
me what I need to do to make everything easier, to help her healing process go smooth. Like, what is it that you need me to do? And God began to, tell me, like how we are stewards over things. He said, I need you to be a good steward over her. I
What
need
does it mean?
A steward, someone who can take care of something. Like, say for instance, okay, if you're a good steward over money, you know how to handle the money. You know how to not blow it as soon as you get it because you're a good steward over it.
Right.
And so when he said that and everything, I was like, okay. But it was some gaps in the places because I never had a real relationship with my mother.
Now, how was that for
Oh,
you not to have a real relationship with your mom, but then God is telling you to take care of her?
it was a tough pill to swallow because I had a selfish moment where I was like, well, this was done, like, like, you want me to do all of this and I never, it was like I was being a big brat, like, and not taking on the task that God gave me, you know, and I was complaining, and I had to stop complaining and receive that God was trying to restore something between the two of us. And when he gave me that revelation, I said, wow. I said, wow. And it helped me. It helped me give myself grace
Oh,
to do the daily tasks that I need to do. Whether she need help with a bath, food, whatever. Like, it helped me with that because it's like, this is my mother. I only got
right.
one. So God used that, and using the situation to restore something that I cried out to him for years about. I brought this thing before God about restoring my relationship with my mother. Or, God, I want to have a relationship with my mother. And I just didn't know how to initiate it because every time I would try, it will always go left, things like that in that nature.
Right. So in this, I know God was showing you you.
Mm.
So let's run down that street. So because like you were saying, we can be brats and not even realize it. It'd be like, I'm grown. Well, your grown self is a brat too. So how? I mean, how else can you say it, right? So, but God showed you you. How did he show you you, and what did you see that he was like, okay, this is good, but this ain't good.
Right. So, um, I was doing something for my mom, and I instructed her, hey mom, you got to do this. And it was like she was giving me a hard time, and I got so frustrated, and it began to, like, get intense to the point where her voice went up and then mine went up. And then after everything was all said and done, like, a few words was exchanged, and I'm like, I'm trying to help you. And it was just like pride and everything that rose up, like, oh, wait a minute, And after it was said and done, I had sat down, and then here go God. Like, was that cool for you to do? Was that okay for you to respond like that? Like, you don't know what she's feeling right now. You don't know what she's going through right now. So I'm going to need you to be patient. I'm going to need you to be more kind. I'm going to need you to be more gentle with her,
Uh-huh.
because I was getting in the way. I was still getting in the way. The fact of the matter is that, how you gonna be talking to me like that? And I'm trying to take care of you. That was
Right.
that was my mindset. Like, wait a minute, being
Like,
pride.
let's rethink this. Let's rethink what's going on, right?
Yeah, like it was like a prideful moment, and God had to humble me. It
Oh. How
showed.
did that feel in that moment? Exactly. How did that feel?
It feels like, I don't know if you have children or not, but if you have ever saw, like, how mothers correct their children, and don't have to whoop them, but they correct them and they do it in love, but it still hurt, and then they
Yeah.
get crying. That's how it was with me. That's how it was with me. When he corrected me, I couldn't do anything but cry. And when I went back down to, assist my mother, she spoke these words. She said, I never thought in a million years that it would be you that will be taking care of me.
Now that moment overall, that right there, it'd be like, mama, like for real. So you know you did me dirty, and I'm still the one that God called on to help you. So I know that it can be a dagger. That really can be a dagger right there. How did you feel in that moment when she said that? Did it make you revert back into like a little child? Who just all you wanted was your mama. That's really all you wanted.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. You're
I
okay.
cried, I cried like a baby. I cried because it was beautiful, you know? It was really beautiful. It was like a beautiful moment to for her to not expect me to be doing what I'm doing. It was like I looked at her, I said, Mom, I said, I'm your daughter. I said, this is what I'm supposed to do. Even though it's 9 other siblings out there, I have 9 other siblings, but I'm the daughter that is taking care of her. And now I'm finding joy in doing it because I'm able to take care of her and make sure that she's good. And not only that, have conversations, having conversations with my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey mom, just talking about certain things that we were never able to talk about, you know?
Wow.
Things that we weren't able to talk about. Now I'm able to get something in here and there every time we interact. Hey mom, you okay? Hey mom, I love you. And I didn't used to say that all the time.
Because she never said that to you when you were a kid.
No, never. Not first. Never. Never.
Wow.
Never.
So let's move a little forward. Give you some
Mhm.
give you a chance to dry your tears. Uh, so now we're at a point where God has God has used you to
Mhm.
build the relationship that you wasn't even thinking about trying to rebuild because you had tried for so long. But
Mhm.
God had to show you in the situation because when you're a kid, you don't think about all of that. You think about you, my mama. What? But we forget that our parents are human beings as well.
Right.
Because they're Superman. They're like Superman or Superwoman to us. So it's
Yeah.
like you're not supposed to do any wrong, but that's really not the case.
Mhm.
Um, so she tells you that you, out of all her children, would actually take care of her, and she, in a way of admitting that she knew she did wrong,
Mhm.
but did it anyway. And now she's at a realization of the baby I put in an awkward position is the one that has to take care of me. How is the relationship now?
It's getting better. It's getting better.
I like the way you say that because some people be like, "Oh, it's great, it's perfect, we doing it." No, it's a day to day process, right?
Mhm. It's getting better. Yeah, because she can, lash out, but how the way I respond to that lash out determines our relationship. It determines our relationship. How the way I respond to anything, because she could be agitated, irritated by, the pain, or, the things that she's feeling that I can't feel, you
Right.
know. She don't who want to be in a sick bed? Nobody want to be in a sick bed. Don't nobody. I hate when I get a 3 day cold. It's aggravating. Like, come on now, it's aggravating. So to have something, to be facing something so intense and something that is life threatening,
Yeah.
it's like I can only imagine like the things that are running through her mind. So it's my job as a daughter, as a woman of God, as a person to take care of this individual who needs love, who needs compassion, who needs grace, and from how my mom grew up, they had it rough. They had it rough.
So you
So
recognize that she was raised a certain way that made her respond a certain way.
yes, 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 and that does matter. A lot of people don't think that that matters. How the way you raise a child is how they will grow up. If they grow up with bitterness, hatred. That's why every chance I get, I try to love on my boys. I have two grown children, and I try to love on them too.
That's good. That's good. We normally on the show, you're our first supporter, who hasn't really just gone through a sickness.
Hmm.
So, to know that there's family that got a place, with you to help support you and love you even in your down times. Because a lot of times medication will
Hmm.
cause depression, medication will cause mood swings.
Hmm.
Um, and you have to fight to learn who you are all over again. Like my diagnosis was lupus in 1997, and they didn't tell me that I would have mood swings. I was just called a mean person. They didn't tell me that I was going to go through a depression. They just told me I slept too much. So it for us that didn't have the proper support. It means a lot to see people who do have that, support. Because no one likes to see people go through the pain that they've gone through. A lot of people, later in life, of course, God did bless me with someone who was there by my side, when I was in and out of the hospital and couldn't remember what doctors were saying. Hey, P, I told him I'd give him a shout out. But he was there as a friend who helped me through so much, and even to see the empathy in your eyes, it reminds me of him and how he just walked through it and then tried to help me explain it to myself because I didn't get it. And I see that's what you're trying to do for your mom.
Hmm.
So, on this side of the road, you feel like God has taught you some things. He's put you in a place to learn some things about yourself as well as others.
Hmm.
So, how is He using you now to talk to His people beyond what He's already taught you? Because He's taught you, you've learned it. Now it's time to put it into action. So,
Hmm.
what are your next steps, and what are you doing, and what can we look forward to? Let's dive into that part of, one, when did you get the epiphany? Oh, I've learned some things. Two, two, let's move on into what you've learned and how you're utilizing it.
So what I have learned, anytime that you can show love, I mean, genuinely love, without no strings attached to an individual or individuals who have done you wrong, I think that is like a growth spurt that is like out of this world. Anytime you can, love on someone who or just a group of people, just anybody. I know, things that I have cried out to God about, God use me, God do this, asking God that. So God got to bring things your way
Right.
so he can use you. But he also bring those things towards your way to show you what's hidden in you that you don't even know. That you don't even know. So definitely being an advocate for women, because I have been through a lot myself. Um, from being abused, molested, and all these type of things, and unforgiveness can bring sickness on the body, and a lot of people don't know that it can cause you to be sick. So a lot of sickness could be stopped if women like myself, like yourself, and whoever else God is using to come forth and speak about the things that they've been through. So healing can begin to take place, because once someone see you speak and they see that you're doing it boldly, and that you're confident, not only just in yourself but in God, they healing can start to take place, because they now they looking like, wow, like
Yeah.
she been through all of that, I can do it too. And it
Right.
encouraged them. It encouraged them. So, I am finding more and more what God has called me to do through these trials, what we will call trials.
So you does it come up more now than it did before that
Yeah,
you're able to recognize it for
yes,
what it is?
yes.
So is that like a funny moment? Be like, really? I've been here, done that, or is that like, oh my lord, not again? How does that play off in your head?
It was both because, God was trying to restore our relationship before this happened. Before this happened, and it was me. When I tell you I was in the way, like every time, and it was like a cycle. It was like literally like a cycle where my mom would come stay with me, and then things would blow up, and then it'd be like, okay, she's no longer in the house. And then it will circle, it would do a whole full circle back around where she would be back in the house, and then boom, something would blow up. Then, like when I say blow up, like an argument or something like that, and it'd be like, you know what, you can't be here. And God kept bringing that thing around, and I was like, you know what, I'm not about to repeat another cycle like this.
Mm,
The last time, this time, when it circled around, when it circled back around, she was sick. So it was like, you have no other choice but to do what's right this time.
mm,
And I speak on me because I responded all those other times differently, not knowing what my mama was going through, because she knew that she had cancer 2 years ago, but didn't tell anybody. Do you hear what I'm saying? So listen, and thank you, Lord, to rewind it back when I said God had me praying for her, for praying against, cancer. My mom had to have surgery. She had got her uterus and all of that stuff removed. She had a hysterectomy, and I didn't know why she was having it. She didn't tell me why she was having it. She came and stayed with me around that time. Me and my husband took care of her, took her to make sure she went to the doctor, but actually she was getting cancer removed from her body. She was getting I just found like when I say everything was hitting me like a ton of bricks, like I just found all of this out when I took her to the hospital. And the reason why it came back is because she didn't start her treatments, because she was hiding it from us. She was hiding it from us. So the prayers that went up when God had me praying, it got resolved. It got resolved, but guess what? She didn't follow the steps. That what she was supposed to do. But God still took that and used that to restore what was broken between the two of us.
So, what do you think? You said something that really stood out to me. You said the steps. A lot of people that end up getting sick think that, you're supposed to pray, get a miracle, and then that's it. But when Jesus touched people and he healed people, he said, go and sin no more. And the thing I'm thinking of is that we don't know all of the sins that we do, which is why one of the prayers I have is, Lord, make me mindful of the sins I do not know of,
Yeah.
and give me strength for the ones that I do.
Hmm.
Um, so I make that prayer now. Um, Tell me what your thoughts are on that, just on that.
So when I say following the steps, meaning that she was given instructions from her doctor to follow up and do chemo and do these things. But another thing, as you were speaking on how God said, go and sin no more. Yeah, I don't know exactly what she was getting herself into. It could have been unforgiveness, because I really strongly believe that's what made her sick from the beginning. Being a woman, us being women, when we hold stuff in our womb.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of women don't understand that.
Right.
A lot of women don't understand that. Like we hold a lot of stuff and it goes straight to our womb. And this is when a woman can become barren because she's not forgiving the man that she allowed to come in and hurt her. So that's what caused her sickness. That's what caused her sickness because of the childhood traumas owned up as an adult and coming up as an adult. Like, what parent don't want a relationship with their children? That
Right.
could have been bothering her too. But if you don't know how could you? How could if you don't know how to love, how would you know how to love someone if you don't know? If you've never been loved
Right.
in a physical form. We know that God loves us,
Hmm.
but we're talking about in a physical, natural form, being actually properly loved by someone.
So on that note, I want you to tell me and the people, um, what how is God using you today now that you've learned what you've learned? You're experiencing what you're experiencing, and has your trials gone away, or are you just working through them, and how you work through them?
Okay, so no, trials still come. Trials still come. I just know how to gear up and stay ahead of it. Like it's a humbling experience. It's very, very humbling. And to be honest, I thought I was humble, but no, God, like, no, you need to be humbled enough, because if you think that you're humble, you're not humble.
Mm,
So that was like a check mark there. Like, okay, there's things that I thought that I was doing properly. It was always like a question mark and then a check. Like, okay, you need to get this in order. You need to respond like this. You need to do this.
mhm.
You know. So, excuse me. But yeah, that's how it turned out. Like, and with trials, it taught me how to actually stay in prayer and never let up. Like, sometimes we get so comfortable when we pray and we see God bringing forth these things that we have prayed for and
Mhm.
answering us, we get comfortable.
Mm,
And then we get to be in a relaxed mode. And then it's like, wait a minute, I need you to stay on this post because you got to stay ahead of this adversary that you had left 10 miles back there.
right.
you know so it helped me. I always had a strong prayer life, but it helped me to go in even deeper,
Mm,
even deeper.
mhm.
This helped me go even deeper because 2 years ago, God, you had me praying against this. Like, I want to be in the vine where I'm knowing when things are trying to approach before they even approach.
Mhm.
The enemy trying to send a sickness, attacks, anything. I want to be ahead of the adversary.
Right.
And that being in this situation, it has helped me with mentally, physically, emotionally, to weigh out and balance out my emotions and know when to use an emotion, like, to put down emotions, and like, no, we can't operate out of emotions. So it's teaching me so
It's
much.
helped you heal. It's
Hmm?
what it helps you heal. Even going through it helps you heal.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's very important that people that have we are on our path. It's good to speak into individuals, but to receive what it is that you're speaking is also another major factor, um, which is absolutely amazing. So tell us what you're doing. What's coming up for you? How is
Was
God using you?
I'm sorry, repeat that, I couldn't hear you.
How is God using you? What's coming up for you? How is God using you to tell your testimony to the individuals in the world? What is God doing for you?
Oh, I wrote a book about my testimony. I used to be a stripper. I mean, I know we are talking about sickness and stuff like that, but you brought up the topic. So I wrote a book, and it talks about, like, a lot of trauma and things that I had went through. Because trauma is sickness. If you think about it, it's a sickness.
It is a
It's really a sickness. I talks about all the abusive things that I've been through, the molestation things that I have been through as a kid.
Mhm.
And I think that what happened to me as a kid, I held my mother responsible for what took place because of an older sibling was touching me, and it was like, she was never there, like,
Right.
and I held that. I strongly believe I held that against her, and that's why one of the reasons why our relationship was never intact. I wrote a book. I have some upcoming events. I was nominated for prophet prophet of the year. Um, yeah, it's gonna be in Atlanta. I'm gonna post about it, but it's gonna be in Atlanta. Um,
Congratulations.
it's gonna be in Atlanta, and also in April of this year, I have to be in Atlanta for a movie set. Um, and not only that, it's called Eagle Entertainment. I don't know if you heard of them, but uh, I had got the nominee for the Prophet of the Year, Fashion and Beauty. I got nominated for both of those. And I have a movie premiere to attend. That's going to be in Atlanta too. The movie that I just done out in Indiana, and I have some other things that are coming up, like June. I don't know if you know about Quartet and stuff like that, like Quartet music.
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like every year, and I'm so excited. Like every year, they choose me because they of course they love my work, they love my product. Um, they got one coming up again this year, and I do all the people's makeup, like everybody makeup. So
Oh my.
yeah.
Busy.
And knowing that this new thing is in my life. When I say new thing, like what's going on with my mom, she's just gonna have to travel with me. She's gonna have to travel with me, and she traveled with me to Detroit to get my boys, and we had a good time. I made sure that she did exactly what she liked to do. I
Awesome.
wasn't like, well, let me control this, and no, you can't be doing that. I made sure that she did exactly what she wanted to do.
That is awesome. So you being obedient, learning what you needed to learn, implying it, and then moving forward has opened up doors tremendously.
Yeah,
Where you're now moving in an area that most likely you thought you wouldn't even be in, right?
right.
Especially with your mom, and then now your career and how God is using you. And the platform that you're even on, which some people get misunderstood, is not a pulpit. But it
Right,
doesn't mean you can't speak to people. You,
right.
you live you live your life. We are real people out here living life, and we go through things, but we hold on to God for dear life in order to understand what it is that we're going through. And I am glad that I got an opportunity to meet you. God has blessed me with your presence. Um,
Yeah.
you have helped me on some things, and I really appreciate that because I needed to be able to filter it through my head. Sometimes you need that help where all these thoughts come into your head. I'm the type of person where my mind runs 1,000 miles a minute, like
Mm-hmm,
literally. So
hmm.
to have somebody interject to interrupt these thoughts is really important, you
Yeah.
know. And you have been that light to interrupt certain thoughts, and I really appreciate you for that because it's been amazing.
The
Um,
God
yeah,
story.
to God be the glory. Yes, it was a God thing. Yes, it was. Just how it all happened. It was definitely a God thing.
Yes, yes.
If you don't have anything else, that will be it for our little podcast today. I want to say thank you. Do you
Thank
have
you for
anything you want
having me. I really appreciate it. Like, it's so easy for me to pour back into other women because I understand where they could be because I was once there.
to? Yeah.
And, I used to complain a lot about what I went through
Mm-hmm.
until I understood that me going through this, it ain't just for me. Even with my mom, the situation, like she's not going through that just for her. She's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
able to help somebody else come out of it. You know,
Amen.
she's gonna be able to help somebody else. So that's not why it's so easy for me to pour into individuals. I really wish that I had like mentors in my life as I was growing up. I probably wouldn't have been a stripper, but I had to go down that route so God can
Mm-hmm.
use me in such a mighty way. So everything that I've been through, I collected that. I collected it as goods, you know, as goods. Like this won't be wasted. This will be used. It won't be
Right.
wasted, it will be used. And it's just how would you use it? Would you use
Mhm.
it to get back, or would you use it for evil, or would you use it for good? And in my situation, everything that I went through, I'm using it for good. I used to want revenge. I used to want revenge on people who did me wrong. Oh
Yes, it
my
was so easy to turn that route and be like, I can get you. I was nice to you and you did what? Yeah,
Listen, I
and that
used
was
to
the
want
first
it
thing on the
so
brain.
bad. I used to want it so bad where I
Mhm,
stuck my finger out there to try to do it, and it didn't make me feel better. It didn't make me feel better. I was like, oh, it made me feel worse. So I was like, no, I'm going to return good for evil. Like when someone do something evil to me, I'm going to return good
mhm.
because my hand's going to be clean.
Amen.
And it's just the heart that God had to give me,
Mhm,
literally. He had to purify my heart from all the mess and the gunk. Like, baby, I need you to turn this into something.
mhm.
I need you to. And speaking on that, I want to share this. I had a dream. God showed me a lot of things in my dream, and in the dream, He was showing me going through the fire
Yeah.
could be good because
Mm,
you're going through the fire like gold, and then you come out pure. But
mm,
if you go in fake, if you
mm,
go in fake, that's not gonna be a good outcome. So in the dream he was showing me, I was at a jeweler, and the jeweler was had some rings and put them through the fire. And these
mm,
rings was not real rings. And when they came out, the stones were missing, like the fire ate up the gold part that was supposed to be gold. And I was like, ooh, it
mm,
was a revelation.
mhm.
Like if you gonna go in playing and be fake, you gonna get chewed up. These trials and everything is gonna chew you up.
Girl, tell it.
They're gonna chew you up and spit you out.
Yes.
But if you go in real and wanna be purified from all of these iniquities, whatever you got going on, you gonna come out like a diamond.
Mm. Oh,
That
girl.
that dream was so powerful. I
Yes.
woke up and gave God glory. Like,
Mhm.
thank you, Lord, for this revelation.
Yes.
So powerful. Because literally, the revelation was you can't go in being fake. You got to go in understanding and knowing that, okay, I got issues.
Huh.
I got issues, and I want to be ready when these trials come. So, Lord, you bringing me through this fire,
Mhm.
not to destroy me, but to bring me out as pure gold. Purify me.
I receive it.
I was
Purify me, Lord. I receive it. You need to get rid of all the junk.
so
Purify me.
that's right. So when we go through these trials, it's really to expose the junk that
Mhm.
is hidden in us, the layers of junk, the things that we have swept up under the rug and didn't address.
Mm.
And it really exposed these things. And like that dream, like you going through that fire, and you pretending and you pretending and things so on like that. Mm-mm. You're gonna that fire gonna eat you up. It's gonna destroy you. It's gonna destroy you.
Go in with honesty, full
Hmm.
blown honesty. You don't have to be perfect. It don't all have to be good. Just go in with full blown honesty and
Listen,
allow him to clean it up.
listen.
Yeah,
Every time I
right
approach
as
the
you
Father,
are, right?
hmm every time
Mm-hmm.
the Father, I approach him like I know, Father, I know it's something. It expose it, whatever it is. I don't approach God like I got it together. I approach him like a child. I need you, Daddy. I need you.
Yeah.
I don't approach God like, well, yep, I got it together today. Like, mm-mm. I try to approach his throne as humbly as possibly as I can. And
Mm.
know I need you because it's late. If we think about it, and we just going on and on, but if we think about it over the years of us getting ourselves into things, when I say getting ourselves into things like, the partners that we have, been
Mhm.
with, the dysfunctional friendships that we have been in, just all types of dysfunctional relationships, whether
Right.
it was us abusing alcohol or drugs or things like that. Like I can speak on those things because when I was a dancer, I used to, honey, turn up queen, okay, with
Yeah.
everything,
We all been that moment where you've been turned up. Yes.
and so,
Just because I go to church don't mean I ain't got a pass. God is still working on me.
so I know it's some layers of things. People think once you're delivered, you're delivered. No, deliverance is a process.
It is
It's
a process.
different levels of deliverance. You
Yes,
it's little by little, chunk by chunk, and then when you get up there and you find out like, whoa, you're
yes,
walking with God, and you be
yes,
like, oh, like this was still in me. It's a shocking,
it
but
is.
things like this, taking care of individuals or doing things for individuals who have done you wrong, it brings those things out.
It does.
It exposes the hidden things.
I'm gonna have to cut us off right here, but girl, but girl, you know, we gonna have to put something bigger together for all of this because this is something else. This is some real girl talk right here.
Right.
Open and honest about all of it. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, coming to God and saying, "Yes, Lord, use me any and every way you can." I mean, I may not like it all, I may not understand it all, but I know that you love me through it all.
Yeah.
So it is amazing once again to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
your presence, your openness, your beauty, and all your makeup. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I gosh, you got me at a loss for words because this was just beautiful this morning, and my thank yous come from a pure piece of my heart, you
Mhm.
know, for your transparency, you
Mhm.
know. So, with that, we're gonna say thank you for tuning in, everybody. This is the episode 5. We're getting them done, y'all. Episode 5, Six Saved and Undefeated. You see, we are a testimonial platform where we will let you know, baby, we are real out here living life, and it is okay to be who you are, to go from one level to the next. Not everything happens overnight. We ain't gonna always like it. We ain't gonna always understand it, but we can always get through it. So,
Yeah.
with that said, know that your diagnosis is not your identity, and we love you very much. Bye
Thank
bye.